All right, today we're going to look at lesson 1.17, and these are some word problems that use different types of language that you may or may not be familiar with. So what we're going to do is practice these. So the first one we're going to look at says that Sean's school raised $32,587 and Leslie's school raised $18,749. So we want to know how much more money Sean's school raised. So I want you to go ahead and try this on your own. Make sure you draw those tape diagrams. And I am going to be a little bit picky about how you draw them, just because on Zearn, they're pretty picky about how you draw them, and I want to make sure that you get that stuff correct. So go ahead and try to solve this problem on your own with a tape diagram. Okay, so the key words here are how much more. This lets us know that we need to subtract, okay? So we know that Sean's school got $32,000, okay? So I'm going to put an S for Sean, and I've got $32,587, okay? And then Leslie's school has $18,749. Now we want to know how much more money Sean's school made. So we're wanting to find this. How much money would fill in this gap? So Leslie, 18,749. So we want to figure out what would fill in that gap, what number. So how we're going to solve this is, like we said, we're going to subtract. So I have 32,587, take away 18,749. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract here using the traditional subtraction algorithm. 7 take away 9, I can't do that, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to borrow or unbundle. 17 take away 9 is going to give me 8. 7 take away 4 gives me 3. I can't do 5 take away 7, so I'm going to come over here and unbundle. And I have 15 take away 7, 3, 8. 1 take away 8, can't do that either, so I'm going to come over here and unbundle. Make this 11. 11 take away 8 gives me 3. 2 take away 1 gives me 1. And I get $13,838. So that's what would go in this blank here for your tape diagram. Okay, so we can say that Sean's school raised $13,838 more than Leslie's. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the second one. At a parade, 97,853 people sat in bleachers, and 388,547 people stood along the street. How many fewer people were in the bleachers than standing on the street? How many fewer are the key words? Go ahead and solve that problem on your own. All right, so at the parade, we know that there's 97,853 people on the bleachers. 388,547 were standing along the street. Okay, so we want to know how many fewer were in the bleachers and standing on the street. So I know that I had 97,853 on the bleachers, and then standing on the street I had a lot more. So I had 388,547 standing on the street. Okay, so I want to know what's going to go right here. What fills in this gap to get us to 388,547? So to do that, I'm just going to subtract. 388,547, take away 97,853. Okay, so I'm going to subtract that. 7 take away 3 gives me 4. 4 take away 5, not going to happen. So I'm going to come over here and unbundle. This gives me a 4. This is 14. 14 take away 5 gives me 9. 4 take away 8, not going to happen. Turning that into a 7 and this into a 14. 14 take away 8 gives me 6. 7 take away 7 gives me 0. 8 take away 9, not happening. That turns into a 2. This turns into an 18. And this is a 9. 2 take away nothing gives me 290,694 people. So that is what would fill in this gap. So here's what we would say. We would say 290,694 fewer people were in the bleachers. There you go. All right, so I have more problems for you. A pair of hippos weighs 5,201 kilograms together. The female weighs 2,038 kilograms. How much more, keyword, does the male weigh than the female? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you try that one on your own. All right, so all together, they weigh 5,201 kilograms, and kg just means kilograms. Okay, so the female we know weighs 2,038 kilograms, and the male, we need to know how more the male weighs. Okay, well, first we're gonna have to figure out how much the male weighs in general, otherwise we can't figure out how much more he weighs. So we know he weighs more, so this 2,038 kilograms, we know he at least weighs that, but somehow he weighs a little bit more in some capacity, because 2,038 plus 2,038 is not 5,201, and they told us right here that he weighs more. So we need to figure out how much he weighs first. So let's go ahead and do that by taking 5,201 kilograms, take away 2,038 kilograms. And we're doing this problem because we want to know how much the male weighs. So by taking the total of their weights and taking away the female, that'll tell us how much the male weighs. So 1 take away 8, yep, that's not going to happen. 0, nope, that's not going to happen. So I'm going to have to come over here and I have a 1, 10, 9. 11 take away 8 gives me 2. 9 take away 3 gives me 6. 1 take away 0 is 1. And 5 take away 2 is 3. So this is how much the male weighs all together. He weighs 3,162 kilograms. Okay, that's great. But the question wants to know how much more the male weighs than the female. So we need to take how much he weighs and take away how much she weighs so that we know what the difference is between that. So another problem, 3,162, take away 2,038. 2 take away 8, not happening. That 6 turns into a 5. 12 take away 8 gives me 4. 5 take away 3 is 2. 1 take away 0 is 1. And 3 take away 2 is 1. So 1,124, which is what would go here. So we can say the male weighs 1,124 kilograms more than the female. Now that was considered to be a 2 per word problem because we had to do 2 math sentences to get the answer. We had to figure out how much the male weighed to begin with, and then we had to figure out the difference between the male and the female's weight. Now, this one is considered a 3-step word problem. A copper wire was 240 meters long. After 60 meters was cut off, it was double the length of a steel wire. How much longer was the copper wire than the steel wire at first? Okay, how much longer is the key word here? Go ahead and try that one on your own. All right, so here's how we're gonna approach this. We know that the copper wire was 240 meters long to begin with. Then we're gonna cut off 60 meters, so we're gonna take away 60. But after that 60 meters was cut off, it's double the length of the steel wire. All right, so we wanna know how much longer the copper wire was than the steel wire before that 60 meters was cut off. All right, we gotta draw some pictures here to keep ourselves straight. So we know that the copper wire is a total of 240, the whole shebang. 60 of that we're gonna cut off. So there's 60, we know that part of that is 60. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the steel wire too. So the steel wire is half this length, okay? So it's half that length, all right? So what we're gonna do first is the copper wire was 240 meters. Now we're gonna take off the 60 that was cut off. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Sorry. Don't have to borrow there. 0 take away 0 is 0. 4 take away 6. Now we do have to unbundle. 1, 14, 8, 180. Okay, so after the 60 is cut off, this is 180. Now they're telling us that that's double the length of this steel wire. Okay, so somehow we need to split this into two. Well, here's something that I recognize. I recognize that 18 divided by 2 is a fact that I know. Okay, I know I'm throwing some division in here, but we can handle it. If I want to split something into two parts, I'm going to divide it. But I know 18 divided by 2. I know that's 9. All I need to do is tack on a 0 to make up for the place value. Okay? So we know now, since this was the entire length of the copper wire after the 60 was cut off, and they said the steel wire was half of that, we know that this is 90. The steel wire is 90. Okay, this part doesn't exist. It's 90. Okay, great. Now they want to know how much longer the copper wire was than the steel wire at first. So they want to know how much longer this entire copper wire was before it was cut up compared to this 90 that the steel wire is. So 240 minus 90. 0 take away 0 is 0. We're going to go ahead and rebundle. And I'm going to get 5 and 150. So what I can say is the copper wire was 150 meters longer than the steel wire at first. All right, I hope that made some sense. If it didn't, it's okay. We can always practice some more. So what you're gonna do is do your exit ticket next.